Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to our 21-day challenge on Awaken Your Spiritual Neurons Empire. Today is our seventh out of 21 days in which we're going into a little journey, inner journey to manifest our greater versions, to transform all beliefs, all habits, and bring them into consciousness so we can actually work them out and then transform them into something better. So, before I start, just to remind you one more time, I am actually recording live in YouTube, and at the same time, I am recording on Instagram. Okay. So I hope that you get a chance to uh, practice the meditation that we did yesterday, in which the idea was to bring to consciousness everything that happens inside your brain, how you're actually functioning is visualized through your own mind. And what we're going to do today is we're going to get into the process itself of becoming the, let's say, self observers of ourselves or the auto observers of ourselves. And how are we going to do that? When you get a chance to read my book, you're going to see that there is a chapter that I am dedicated on consciousness. So I have actually defined several types of consciousness. Consciousness, it seems that it might be something very complex to define, right? Because everybody has a different idea of what consciousness is, even though, science may see consciousness in one way, spirituality may see it in another way, right? So, for the sake of the exercise and for the sake of the transformational path that we are talking about, what I'm actually doing in the book is just giving a brief definition is conscience versus what is consciousness. Same time, we're going to talk a little bit about our corporeal physical consciousness as well as brain and mind consciousness, and then taking them into a higher level, which is trying to experience which is called uh, self consciousness in order to uh, get to a higher state, which is higher self consciousness and then soul consciousness. Okay. But in order for you to get to, let's say, experience all those levels of consciousness, it's important that we start with what we have today. Okay. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to dedicate um, in this day's challenge, in this today's challenge, we're going to dedicate it just to be the auto observers of our current selves, of our current selves image. Okay. One of the things that we are looking for is to take that current self image and build over that current self image a new self image. And how do we do that? So, what we have done in all of the previous six series, right, is we have been working in bringing to our awareness, right? The new possibilities, the new, uh, let's say, opportunities that we have in front of us by visualizing, by daydreaming a little bit, by imagining, right? What would it be to have a new self image, or what would it be to experience a different life? And that, I believe, is important when we are, let's say, we're going to take into consideration that we have a situation, or we have a habit or an issue that we want to solve, right? So before we analyze that issue, what we have to do is we have to create a reference, right? A reference of what we want to experience, and then visualize it. Once we have visualized what we want, what we're going to do is we're going to go back, right, to that habit, to that trauma, or whatever it is that you're passing through, and we are going to observe that current situation, right? Now we have something that is new versus something that is existing. And your mind has two parameters in which it can create or activate energy, right? To decide whether where it wants to go, whether it wants to activate uh, more neural paths, let's say, into creating and sustaining those new habits, or you want to remain in the old habits. And that's basically what uh, it really takes into consideration, to pass through a process, right? In order for you to have a transformational process, right, you have to experience, or you have to allow yourself to see other horizons, compare them to what you have today, and then decide if you want to go after those new horizons. But you're gonna have to leave behind everything that is old. Or if your mind or your ego, let's say, is too strong, um, you're gonna have to decide whether you want to stay in that same state. For both the new self-image and the old self-image, there's always consequences, and this is something that even, I tell my children all the time, right? And whatever it is that you do in life, it always has a consequence, right? Whether you do something good, you're going to take and you're going to get a consequence. And if you're going to do something bad, there's also going to be a consequence, right? You're going to be spending energy in both of them. So let's work today on your current self image. Okay, this is for you to gain the awareness and practice the mindfulness of being present on the moment, being present on who you are currently. Okay, and for that, what I want you to do is I want you to take your notebook and your pen and start doing a checklist, a conscious checklist of how do you see your current self image. Okay, and what you're going to bring into consciousness is the following. We're going to start by bringing to our awareness, right? What is it that you know about yourself today? In other words, let's bring the conscience of what is that you know about you today. So I want you to think and write everything that you know. Like, for instance, um, you know where you were born. You know how old are you. You know the things that you like to eat. You know the things that um, make you laugh. You know um, a path, an educational path, or a career that you have been followed, or you know, for instance, a specific art. Write everything that you have conscious knowledge, okay, that you know about yourself. And you don't need to be like way too detailed, but write as much as you can in one page or in 2 pages, right? Without thinking too much, right? Just write as if you're observing the image of who you are at this moment. Okay, it's just bringing to conscience. Okay, there's a difference between conscience and consciousness. Okay, when we're talking about conscience, we're talking about everything that it's kind of like external to you, right? Everything that you already know, that you have learned, right? And that is part of yourself, or let's say the personality that you are up until today. And then consciousness means that you start discovering based on the conscious and the knowledge that you have, right? You start creating new possibilities. You start creating or changing based on whatever the knowledge you have, and you take whatever it's good, right? And you leave behind whatever doesn't serve you anymore. So bring everything in one page to bring your state of conscience. In other words, write everything about yourself that you know so far, that it doesn't take too much effort for you to remember, right? Then, in a second instance, what I want you to do is I want you to bring to your awareness your brain consciousness. In other words, I want you to bring to your attention and write down everything that relates to your thoughts, right, about yourself. So I want you to write everything that you think about yourself currently. How do you think about yourself? Doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. Remember that these exercises, you have to be, you have to be brutally honest with yourself. At the end of the day, this is a self-analysis. It is a self-observation of yourself, right? And this is something that nobody else is going to see it, but only you. So the more you write about the way you think, right, try to write honestly. And if you need to take a look at the mirror, you need to take some time just to, breathe and leave the emotion out of it and the judgments out of whatever you're analyzing in yourself, right? But it's important that you realize and you write down everything that you think. Like, what are the common thoughts that you notice that every single day you're repeating to yourself? Okay, that's it. That's all that you want to do in your brain consciousness. Now, what you want to also do and bring to the self observation is your senses. What do you usually or commonly see? What's your environment? What's the environment that you live in right now? Do you like it? You don't like it? Um, what are the things that you hear that you are used to hearing? and make a self observation of whether those things that you like to hear, actually, those things that you hear, do you like to hear those things or you don't like to hear them? Is there something that is affecting you in the words or in the meanings or whatever that you hear? Same thing, smells. Try to bring smells to your attention. Do you like the smells of the environment in which you are living today? Maybe you don't like the smell of something. Maybe you're forced to be in an environment that requires, for you to smell whatever, right? Remember, you're bringing to consciousness your current situation and you're analyzing it, but not with the emotion. You're analyzing it based on your current self image, okay? I want you to think in terms of also um, your body consciousness, okay? And here's something that you need to be aware of is what are the habits that you have towards that situation, that environment that you live in. Okay. And when I'm talking about habits, is I want you to observe, right, the way that you behave, again, without any judgments or without any self punishing feelings. Just write down, imagine that you are out of yourself and you're like just observing yourself from top to bottom, like you're at this little tiny image and yourself is just your mind but is magnified, and you're observing what is it that that little person there, which is you, right, is actually doing. How is that person behaving? How is that person responding to the environment? How is that person responding and behaving towards the actions and the behaviors of other people? Okay, those are the things that you want to bring into your awareness, and you have to write them down. And the reason why is because when you write them down, you are bringing your state of mind, your state of working, uh, your brain, right, into the paper. Okay, and this is probably the most important part, that everything that you have been actually experiencing in the last series is actually bringing to consciousness, right, everything that you are so far. In other words, uh, you have been experiencing your present, right? And now what you're doing is you're slowly moving to your past, right? So you're analyzing your current self image, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to bring to the consciousness the cause or the origin of the situation or the habit or the limiting belief or the trauma. And you're going to move slowly and gradually into the past. Based on what? Based on the observations that you just did. Okay. So take today, right, to make those observations. Take a look at your present moment. Take a look at your present situation. And once you have made the summary of your current thoughts, your current feelings, your current environment, and your current situation, what you're going to do is you're going to travel into the past and try to discover what is it that originated in a first place for you to put yourself into that current situation or to put yourself in that current habit. Okay, that is the the main idea. You want to understand the cause of why you are programmed the way that you are today. Okay, and I know that this is kind of like a difficult exercise. Of course, you don't need to um, be too complex on it. All right, don't be too hard on yourself. Just try to do a self analysis as much as you can, right? And then what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to start working again on going back to, that past to understand your present. Okay. So I hope this is something that is clarifying. Just allow yourself to move towards the writing, towards the thoughts and the feelings. Again, don't judge anything. Just write, write, write everything. Like if it's a journal, um, in several pages, if you can, and see what it happens. Okay. Again, this is a mindfulness exercise. Okay. One of the things that you need to do in order to practice exercise is you also need to be on a present moment state of mindfulness. What I'm trying to say with this is as as you are doing this self evaluation or self analysis exercises, you need to be breathing calmly and slowly. You need to be simply relaxing, right? Make yourself aware that you are alive, and what you're doing is you're just observing that self image. Okay? Write down that you see in yourself right now. Okay? And just live the present moment. Don't worry about any outcome or any result. Um, just feel whatever comes, think whatever comes, and write it down. Okay? God bless you, and I'll see you in the next series to continue with this exercise. Have a wonderful day, whatever you are, and many blessings.